Fantastic.
Hello.
So,
Sounds good.
no water.
I know, it's exciting.
It's very dark ages.
I got in at midnight last night, and
It was a 5-hour photo shoot or something in Sydney, wasn't it? I
in
actually
Melbourne.
saw the tweet.
yeah, with Denny, who's a phenomenal photographer, and I've met him a few times, Denny Illick, and he said, if you're coming, let's do a photo shoot together. I was like, fantastic.
Yeah.
But he got a stylist. I got all these funky clothes to wear. And 5 hours later, they were like, whoa.
I promise this won't take 5 hours.
No, it was a blast, though. I had a great time doing it.
That's
I had a
good.
great time, and he's a phenomenal photographer. So it was a nice,
Nice
treat
little
to fly
change.
halfway around the world and get to do that.
And how was the convention in Australia?
Amazing. It was amazing. It was packed, and I just couldn't believe the lineups for people wanting to say hello to me, which was lovely. But the fans were great.
Which do you prefer, the Stargate fans, the Sanctuary fans? Do you find that they're cross-pollinating?
There's a lot of cross-pollination. There's some people that are very Stargate purist,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of people that are watching both.
Yeah.
And there's now, I've found a lot of little kids who are watching Stargate. So whole new generations are watching Stargate. But in Melbourne, I found kids who were watching Sanctuary, and I was like,
Quite interesting.
Oh.
Isn't Sanctuary a little bit more R-rated?
no.
No?
I mean, there's no nudity or anything
No.
on it, but it's a bit darker
Yeah.
for sure. And there's some episodes where I was like,
Sanctuary's unique, isn't it? It started off as an online series,
Yeah.
and then it's grown into television and
Yeah.
broadcast and stuff like that. What was the big changes for the transition from online to broadcast?
in terms of how we film it, nothing. I mean, we had more people involved
Yeah.
in the production, but the way we filmed the show was not any different. We're filming on the Red One camera, which is a great
It is an
system for
amazing
us.
camera.
And it's basically a computer with a bunch of great lenses.
Mhm.
And the beauty of the Red One is the delivery system for us in the post-production pipeline. Because we shoot so much green screen, we can, pull the chip out,
Mhm.
pop it in,
Have your screens
And-
where you need it? Have
and
your-
everyone is now working on the show as we're shooting it. So it's being edited as we're shooting. And
So your
and then-
turnaround time must be significantly smaller than traditional
it's actually
broadcast.
not because of the green screen, because there's so much rendering. So, we need at least 5 months to
To do everything.
do everything.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. And still liking it? Still loving it?
I love making the show. I love it.
Because this is your baby, isn't it?
Yeah. Martin, Damien, and I, Martin Wood, Damien Kindler, who created the series, and myself. It's ours, and it's a really special set. We work on a budget that's a lot smaller than most sci-fi shows, and yet, and so people don't get paid as much to come to our set, and they keep coming back. I think it's just a really special atmosphere.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good thing.
I love it.
Much of a difference from working on Stargate?
Stargate was a much bigger machine.
Mm-hmm.
Stargate had a lot more money behind it. Their production offices were way nicer than ours. Their sets were bigger. But no, the feel, I mean, for me, having now done 15 years of consistent television series work, I love that sense of family, and Stargate very much had that too, a real sense of family.
Because you're also the most consistent actor from Stargate, aren't you? You appeared in
Yeah.
all 3 of the series.
Yeah.
Which is your least favourite?
That's a terrible question
I
to
know.
ask.
Well, I'm thinking,
What is my least
I know,
favorite?
I know people who love all of it, and when people knew I was coming up here today, you were the person I had the most requests for autographs from.
Really?
Yeah,
Aw.
I had dozens of people wanting your autograph. You've got a huge fan base here.
Yeah.
But the Stargate fan base that I know of, people either really enjoyed SG-1 and really enjoyed Atlantis, but not a fan of SGU.
Right.
Or big fan of SGU and sort of use that as a backdoor entrance to the other Stargate franchises.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for
SGU
me,
is
I
definitely
only did a
shortest.
couple of episodes of SGU. So I guess if you forced me to say what is my least favorite, not that that's what you sound
No.
like, that wasn't an impersonation. I guess I would have to say Universe, but only because I didn't have a chance to play with them as much as I would have liked.
No, fair enough. It is a pity it got cancelled prematurely.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had a lot of potential with where they were going. So
I think so too.
It's one of those fun things. Now, one of the other questions I've been told I have to ask, I know it's really strange, people keep making all these demands. I'm told you got the job on Stargate because you ad-libbed a line when you were doing a reading of the script about MacGyver.
Oh, no, that happened after I got the
Okay.
part. I think part of what got me the part on Stargate, to be perfectly honest, was, besides my obvious brilliance, was, when it came down to the final auditions in LA, there was 3 actresses up for the part. And we went into a studio, basically like a big stage and all these seats pitch black, and acted opposite Richard Dean Anderson.
Yeah.
And in between the scenes, I was just joking around with him, just goofing off and having a good time, partly because I was so incredibly nervous. But after, when they let some people go and there was fewer of us waiting to go back in, Brad Wright and Jonathan Glasner came up to me and said, "You know what you're doing, like in between the scenes, like the goofing around and jokey and very comfortable? Put more of that. We love that. To love to see that dynamic between you and Rick, it's great. Keep doing it." And I think that was part of it, was that Rick and I had an instant sort of ease with each other. And after we did the second round of auditions, we stood there and they said, "Can we just see you two standing beside each other?" So there's all the MGM executives, all the Showtime executives. And so we're standing beside each other, and he put his arm around me, and I put my arm around him. And I don't know what possessed me, but I looked out into this dark room and went, "So is this like the swimsuit part of the competition?" Titter, titter, titter. And they were like, "Okay, thank you, Amanda." And I was like, I either blew it or...
Totally got it.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So the MacGyver thing actually came up in season 1 during an episode called Solitudes.
Yes.
And that was...
There's a line in the pilot episode about...
Oh, the MacGyver line.
Which they took out. That they removed it for the DVD release last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the line was jerry rig. Mm-hmm. And I just ad-libbed MacGyver.
Yeah.
That was in the pilot. And then I riffed on MacGyver, later on in Solitudes, but it was just too easy. It's a very big target, MacGyver.
Yeah.
It's like a cultural...
Yeah. And you've got him right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rick is a great sport about it, so...
So his persona on The Simpsons, where he was ripping it into the ground, that's not true?